After a long, horrendous, disgusting, inferno-like summer in Guimarães, Vitória football is back. My name is Howie. This is Positively Portugal. Let's get into it. We are actually 2 games into the season. And as I spoke about in my last video, Vitória got their asses handed to them in the first game by Porto, 3-0. That was at Porto. But Saturday, they beat Estoril 3-2. Now, it took a penalty to decide the game, a penalty converted by Thiago Silva. But Vitória jumped from 18th, bottom of the table, to 9th. And I expect it'll get a little better. I don't think it's going to get a whole hell of a lot better. As I said previously, I don't like the way this Vitória team was constructed. I don't like this manager. I don't like the lineups. I don't like the coaching style. There's actually very little I like about Vitória this season. One of their top playmakers was João Mensch, 17. And I have to say 17 because last season they actually had 2 players with the name João Mensch, 17 and 13. 13 is still here. He's really not doing very well, but 17 was a hell of a player. And there are rumors that he was difficult to work with, be around. He was a pain in the ass, a malcontent, and that Vitória was looking to get rid of him. And that's okay. I understand that. I accept that. If you have a malcontent, by all means, get rid of him. But here's the problem. If you're going to get rid of anyone, malcontent or not, you got to replace him appropriately. And Vitória failed to do that. They made a big deal on social media about signing a new striker, Omar Camara. And he didn't even play against Estoril. I saw Omar Camara play in Barcelos in one of the final preseason games against Celta Vigo of Spain. He scored the only goal of the game that won the game for Vitória. There's nothing to tell me that he's not a good player. I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's bad, but I do know that he deserves to have some playing time, especially if you're going to make that big of a deal on social media about signing him. But here's an even bigger problem. In the final third of the season last year, Telmo Akanjo became the second best player on the team behind Thiago Silva. In the first game against Porto, Akanjo comes on in the 56th minute, and he didn't even get any minutes against Estoril at home. So you're getting rid of one of your best playmakers in João Mensch, 17, and you're not giving your new striker any minutes. You're not giving the second best player on your team, according to the final third of the season last year, any minutes. How are you going to score goals? And Vitória did score 3 times against Estoril, but Estoril is having a problem to start the season. There were some high expectations for Estoril. They had a lead late in their opener against Estrela, and that was at home. They blew it late. And they really weren't any good in Guimarães. Their defense is a problem, the exact same weakness that Vitória has. But I don't see where this is going with this new manager, Luis Pinto. The coaching style. And it looks like every manager in Portugal is trying to do this. They're trying to make a statement. There was a brief period last season where Victor Gyökeres was benched at Sporting by Rui Borges, who had come over from Vitória just to kind of make a statement. But then he had issues with Conrad Harder, the backup striker, and eventually Joker started playing all the time and started scoring all the goals again. But this seems to be going on. The new manager wants to make a statement. What I don't understand is that the new manager, Luis Pinto, he had worked with Arcangelo previously at Tondela. It's an embarrassment and an absolute disgrace that this guy didn't get any playing minutes. He absolutely deserved it. The way that he performed for Vitória last season should have said to the entire world that, hey, this is what Vitória does. They keep trying to sign these second division players and make stars out of them. These guys who they don't have to give big money to, pay big contracts. They finally find one that works. And he gets benched immediately. And I look at another second division player that Vitória has. This guy named Vando Felix, who does absolutely nothing on the field. All he does is run fast. He could run. You know what he is? He's a poor man's Eduardo Camavinga. And as a Real Madrid fan, I know Eduardo Camavinga very well. This guy has absolutely no football abilities. All he can do is run fast. He can't shoot the ball with his foot. He can't head the ball in. He can't pass. He doesn't defend. The only thing he does as a result of his extreme speed, and I'll give him credit for that, he is extremely fast. He'll steal a few balls per game. But he doesn't do anything. He's reckless. He injures other players with reckless tackles. He injures himself. And that's pretty much what Vando Felix is. He runs around with no purpose. So I don't understand what Vitória is doing here. They're not bad enough to get relegated. And they actually are good enough to win a European spot. But you're not going to be good enough to win a European spot if your best players don't get any minutes. What Vitória is right now is Thiago Silva, some guys who aren't good enough to play on bigger clubs, and second division players. I don't know exactly what's going on with Gustavo Silva. He came back last season after an injury, and he was good. He scored some goals. This season, he looks to be about a half a step off, a little bit out of sync. The timing is off. It's not working. But you can tell he cares. So I think Vitória should stay and try to make it work with Gustavo Silva. Let's get Thiago Silva some help here. And speaking of Silva, we got Charles Silva in goal, who's actually a professional goalkeeper, unlike the previous one, Bruno Varela. Might have been the worst goalkeeper I have ever seen. Some of his play was absolutely shocking. He looked nervous every time he had to play a ball, every time he had to catch it, every time he had to kick one onto the other side of the field. I'm just down on Vitória. I don't think this is going to be a good season, despite the fact that they won their second game. The only players I have been impressed with so far are Thiago Silva, Miguel Maga, and Miguel Nóbrega. What annoys the hell out of me is I saw this player number 5, Paulo Vitor. The first time I saw him play was against Celta Vigo in Barcelos in a friendly, and then I saw him replace Nóbrega, who scored a goal for Vitória. This guy Vitor is not a professional player. I've really not seen a guy perform this badly. It just looks unnatural, like he has never played the sport before. I don't know why he was signed by Vitória. I think this is a guy who actually came over from the Russian league. He's not Russian. I don't know what he is. Maybe he's Portuguese, maybe he's Brazilian. Here's the thing. I don't give a damn. This is not somebody who is worth researching. But Vitória is trying to get a European spot with somebody who doesn't even belong playing professional football. I'm not even going to say that this is someone who doesn't belong in the Portuguese league. This is not a professional football player. But it shouldn't surprise anyone that this is what Vitória does. To put things in perspective, I needed another ticket for a friend of mine who lives in Porto. He wanted to see his very first Portuguese game. And I'm glad that it was a Vitória game and not an FC Porto game, because now he got to see what a real Portuguese club is like. You know, a club that doesn't use the death of one of its club legends to get a game time changed. At the time when I went to the Vitória team store in the mall to pick up an extra ticket, they didn't have anything in my section. So I wanted to move my ticket for that game into a section where there were plenty of tickets, and Vitória wouldn't let me. I actually had to buy another ticket for myself because I didn't want my friend to sit by himself. That cost me 10 euros unnecessarily. And that day, Vitória had actually released a throwback jersey or shirt or camisola, whatever you want to call it, from 2013, the year that they won the Supertaça. And I was going to buy that. They were selling it for 50 euros. With my socio discount, I would have gotten it for 45 euros. But because they made me spend 10 euros unnecessarily, I said, no, I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to give you that money. So Vitória ended up costing themselves 45 euros after my 10 euro ticket purchase. They lost 35 euros in that deal. And to top it off, when you want to buy this year's home shirt or away shirt or third jersey, here, this is what it looks like. Pardon the New York here in the background. I don't have any plain white t-shirts, but this is what it looks like. At the Vitória store, it would be 85 euros. With my 10% socio discount, it would be 76 euros and 50 cents. Well, guess what? I got this on Vinted for 22 euros. With the Vinted buyer fee, or what they call the protection fee, I ended up paying 23 euros and 80 cents, but I saved 52 euros and 70 cents by not buying this from Vitória. And guess what? It's got all the official markings. It's got sponsors of companies I will never support. It even had official Vitória tags in the back before I cut it off so I could wear it. So Vitória's crappy ticket policies make them lose money because now I'm not willing to buy things from them. I'm only going to buy them bootleg or from secondary websites and apps like Vinted and eBay and the Facebook Marketplace. To sum it up, I think Vitória will finish in the top half of the table. I don't think they're in any danger of getting relegated, but if you ask me if I'm certain about that, I'm going to say no. I'm not certain about that. What I am pretty damn sure about is that they're not going to compete for a European spot. and that pisses me off. This is a big club. Don't make any mistake about it. While we're not Benfica, Porto, Sporting, Vitória is the club in Portugal with the fourth most amount of members, of fans. That's right, we're a bigger club than Braga. Now, I know when you think of Portuguese football, after you think of the big three, the next club that you're going to think of is Braga, but keep one thing in mind. Just like us, Braga has never won the league. Vitória is a bigger club than Braga. But what does it mean? It doesn't mean a damn thing. Because we're not competing to win the league this year. We're not competing for a Champions League spot. We're not competing for a Europa League spot. And you know what? We're also not competing for a Conference League spot. I don't expect that Luis Pinto is going to last very long. I think they were lucky to get by Estoril. And Estoril is a club that has its own problems. There were higher expectations for them, and they don't look good at all. So if Vitória is playing a club that was any better or any more in form, they probably would have lost Saturday, and they'd be 0 wins, 0 draws, and 2 losses. So yeah, I don't have any expectations for Vitória this season. Now, don't let anyone think that what I spoke about in my last video was strictly being anti-Porto. And I am anti-Porto. I don't like this club. I think they're scum. But the reaction to my video by Porto fans was a little strange to me. I get that you might not like me talking about your club, insulting them. But for every insult I gave them, I gave it back to clubs like Vitória. And I had mentioned Benfica and Barcelona. So there wasn't any club here that came out on top, that came out with a positive perspective. It's just a matter of Porto fans not being able to accept the truth that your team is as corrupt as almost any other corrupt club. No one's more corrupt than Barcelona. But guess what, FC Porto? You might come in second place. So if you want more videos about moving to Portugal, the process of getting here, Portuguese football, anything Portugal related, please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. These are the best things you can do to help a content creator on YouTube. I want to thank you all for watching, and despite what I feel about this upcoming season, Força Vitória.